Yeah, never done this before. Let's try it. Felt good. Hey guys, slightly different review from my side. This is actually for air pistol, which I haven't done any of those reviews yet. I have mostly to thank for this review to Marco, my friend, which lent me the PP700-W pistol. This one is actually PP700S, slightly different version, very similar though. And also I have to thank to Rojal. They also lended me this other one. Basically I already purchased this one, so let's get into the review. It will be quite an interesting review. First of all, both guns come in a box like this. So basically you get the pistol and you get some accessories such as fill probe, which is it fits the quick fill, which is nice, and you get some spare O-rings and some tools, and that's about it. Of course, you don't get any optics on it. You basically get only open sights with the S-A model, so this one. And the other model, the W model, comes without sights without any sights at all. So basically you have to mount something on it. Now I did put a red dot on this one because for best accuracy test you kind of have to use some sort of optics to make sure that you are doing your end of the job while testing it. So let's get to some other differences of those two pistols, and then we will get to the features of them. The differences are, there's actually only a few differences. Almost everything is the same. As I mentioned, this one has the open sights. The W model doesn't. The second thing is that this one has a sort of a bull barrel front part, which is actually also a shroud, but is a much less effective shroud than on the W model. So this of course also brings some additional weight. So this one is a little heavier. This one is about 1.1 kilograms, and W model is about I think just under 1 kilogram. There is also some differences that are not mentioned everywhere between these two guns, and that is that this one actually has a longer barrel. So on this one, it's actually almost up to here. So that is about 270 millimeters, where on the other one, so on the W model, it's because it's shrouded, it actually stops around here, and it's about 235 millimeters, which is what is actually stated on the web page. The next thing is the grip, which is also slightly different. This one is black and fully plastic, and the W model has a rubberized green, sort of green color, partly green, partly black grip. You can see the picture. I will show it probably in this corner. Yeah. I must say that the W model, which has a rubberized stock, is actually it's actually a little better for me because there is a deeper cut in here and you can grab it easier. And of course, since it's a little lighter, especially this one is especially front heavy because of this bull barrel design, that also kind of feels a little better on in the hands. But of course, this one has an advantage of having a longer barrel when it comes to efficiency. Build quality is actually excellent. All the parts are very, very nice. I will say that the barrel, the muzzle crown, and the inside does not look that good. It could be definitely better. And actually, after I made the video on accuracy, I did also already lap the barrel and fix the crown. But that comes in the next video in terms of accuracy, so let's leave it at that. So the video that you will see on accuracy is actually made purely on stock, no modification, only adjustments that are actually made accessible from the outside. So Artemis is otherwise the manufacturer of this pistol is actually SPA. Actually, this is a Chinese brand, quite well known. They have a lot of different models. This gun actually doesn't always appear under a name Artemis. There are several different names, especially I found that in UK they have at least 2 or 3. So you might find it under a different name than this one. So just be aware of that. So it's a pre-charged pneumatic, of course. It's very simple to operate. It's a single shot, so basically you have to load it every time. You simply move the bridge to the side, insert one pellet inside, close the bridge, cock the hammer, and you're ready to shoot. There's no safety, so you are immediately hot and ready to shoot. Yeah, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention about this bull barrel. So it has 3 holes in these dents here, which kind of, let's say, compensates for the fact that this is a much lower volume and not that effective of a shroud. So actually you get some blowout here to make the noise a little lower. But they're not quiet. None of them is quiet. This one is slightly louder, of course, because of the lack of the shroud. And the other one, which has a shroud, is still not that quiet. So I would put that one on the limit of the backyard friendly, and this one maybe even over. So let's get to the features of the gun. So as I mentioned, it's a single shot pre-charged pneumatic. This whole air cylinder is filled with air, and there is actually a regulator here. So this gun is actually regulated, which is actually quite surprising for this price range, because these pistols go for about 270 euros or US dollars approximately, which is quite low considering what you're getting. And it has a slight small chamber in here, so basically a plenum, which is regulated. So this is a very nice feature. And not only that, this regulator has also an option to be externally adjusted. So this is quite a lot to get on a pistol of this price range. This is actually done for this hole here. You need a special, not a special, but you need an Allen key, which is kind of slightly oval shaped, because this hole goes actually in this direction first, and the screw is like this. So it's kind of hard to reach, but once you do, it's actually it can be adjusted while pressurized. And next thing, it also has an adjustable trigger, which is also very nice, and it's a very nice trigger. It doesn't really come well adjusted from the factory. The second stage is quite long, but otherwise it's fairly light and also fairly crisp. And you adjust it quite simple. You have the adjustment for the length of the first stage through this small hole. So you can access this with 1.5 millimeter Allen key. And the length of pull of the second stage is actually adjustable by removing the grip. So you remove the grip by unscrewing the screw. And then you have adjustment for the second stage as well. You don't have any adjustment for the weight of the pull, only for the length of the first and the second stage. A little warning, these screws, these 1.5 millimeters M3 screws, are actually usually using thread lock screwed in. That means that probably you will not be able to adjust it as it comes out, because it will be too hard and you just might damage the screw. So what I do recommend is take apart the mechanism. So basically take out the trigger and then heat it up to about, 100-120 degrees Celsius in order for that thread lock to release, and then you can unscrew it easily. I recommend doing this on both screws, because otherwise you just might damage the screw and then you won't be able to adjust it at all. So that's the settings that it has. I forgot to mention that basically, as you would expect, the rear sight is actually adjustable for elevation as well as windage. I also have some accessory here, which is bought separately here. So basically I have a collapsible stock, and this is an option you can get. It's not extremely high quality, but it is useful, I must say, because you can really have a lot more steady shots, of course, with having any stock than with using it just like a pistol. So I will just quickly mount it now so you can see it. So you just put it instead of those spacers, and then you just screw in those two screws. This is kind of unfortunately because it only has those two screws that holds it in place, so that means it's not extremely stable, but it's still usable, I would say. So if you're extremely, let's say, sensitive to how the stock feels, then maybe that's not an option that you would want. So I would say that it's not very strong. If you want to pull it up, you will be able to pull it up and just rip it off, because, as I mentioned, this is plastic and it's only fixed on plastic. But it is quite nice. It's really nice to shoulder, especially if you have something higher like this red dot, and it's very easy collapsible. Although I would say that this one is actually for lefties, at least more appropriate, because as a righty I would want it to fall this way, not that way, but it's okay either way. So you can collapse it like this, and then you stretch it back out, and it snaps into place, and it's a little rattly, of course, and but otherwise it's quite nice. So let's get to fill pressures and the regulator itself. On the box, let's go through the box first. On the box it says that maximum pressure is 25 megapascals, which is 250 bars. And on the cylinder itself, it only says 22 megapascals, so 220 bars. Now, I never charge it back more than 220 bars. Actually, I usually only charge it up to 200 bars, because the regulator has a tendency to work better from 200 bars down. If you charge it higher, you might get a little, first free shot, a little lower velocity. Both of those guns come in either 177 or 22 caliber. As I mentioned before, the barrels are not the same on both of them. And the claim for this one, at least, is that it has in 4.5 caliber, so in 177 caliber, it has with 0.55 grams, I believe that is about 7 grains, it has about 700 feet per second, and you get 40 shots. And with the 22 caliber or 5.5, you should get about 30 shots at 700 feet per second with 1 gram pellets. So 1 gram is about 16 grains. So that would be regular JSB jumbos, which is actually what it gets. But this is not something I was interested in. And what I was interested in was actually what you can get in high power. And since I mentioned that it has a built-in regulator and it's externally adjustable, what I did is rise the pressure of the regulator. Initially, it is set to about 80 bars. And I set it to about 130 on the W model, and on the S-A, so this one, I set it to about 135. Now, the problem with setting the regulator is that you actually have no feedback on what pressure you've set it, because all you can do is turn this screw and you don't have any gauge to show you the regulated pressure. You have only the regulated, unregulated pressure gauge in the front. So what you kind of have to do is adjust it, and then adjust also, of course, the hammer spring accordingly. Otherwise, the pressure, the power will get lower and lower. So I did that. I kind of optimized it, but it's not easy thing to do. So you don't know what pressure you're at. You have to kind of have the crony, and you have to have some feeling in terms of sound and how it sounds to know when the appropriate spring tension is applied on the hammer in order to fully open the valve and things like that. So it takes some time and some experiences. But just if you ever do that, just so you know, this one, it works, you have to turn it clockwise, so you have to put the Allen screw in and rotate it clockwise, so like you would screwing it in the cylinder to rise the pressure, and vice versa, of course. To do that, I would recommend that you take the trigger guard off. You, of course, have to, in that case, also take the grip off, the trigger guard, and then you can access it very easily. The spring tension screw for the hammer is also in the stock, so if you take the stock off, there is a screw which you just tighten in to compress the spring more, and then you get higher, then you get appropriate hammer strike for the pressure that you set on the regulator. So let's get to the information, what I got from it in this kind of setting. So the W model, which is in 177, and it's with a shorter barrel, I got 19 joules with JSB monster pellets, so very heavy pellets, but nevertheless the velocity was still quite high, so very good performance. And with lighter pellets, I got slightly less. I got about, so 19 joules is, by the way, about 14 foot-pounds of energy. And with the lighter pellets, I got somewhere around 15 or 16 joules, so about 12 foot-pounds, which is nice. I mean, it's extremely high power if you consider the caliber and the short barrel and the fact that it's a pistol. And with that setting, I got about 20 shots, maybe a little less. Maybe I did 20. I shoot 20, but the regulated were actually only probably about 15 to 16. So you get a significantly less shots, but you get a big power increase. Now this one kind of blew my mind. I knew that I would get more, but I didn't expect that much. So I was trying different pellets, of course, and with pellets I was able to get to constant 26 joules no matter what pellet, so even with lighter pellets. So 26 joules is over 19 foot-pounds. So that's quite a lot for the pistol. And then I started to really heavy pellets and even Cuban slugs in the end. And with pellets, so with Beast and Monster, I got almost 32 joules, and with my slugs I actually got full 32 joules. So 32 joules is, I'm not sure how much, I think it's 24 or something like that foot-pounds. It's a lot anyway, or even more. I think it's even more, something like that. So you will see it in the video for the accuracy and the velocity. So I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll stop here. I will just show you the groups that I got. So here are 177 JSBs, monsters from JSB, and this one is with some 7-grain watt cutters. This is all at 25 meters with 177, and with 22 JSB Jumbo regular, JSB Jumbo heavy. These were impressive, and because these are all 5-shot groups, and there's actually 4 shots in here and 1 in here, and that one was actually taken as a first shot, which was actually right after refill. And you know that right after refill you kind of get the first shot is usually not as good as it could be. This is Monster and this is Beast, so this one are not appropriate, or maybe they would be, but I would have to change some settings. And keep in mind that I was using red dot, which is not easy to use at this range, because it's hard to even see the target compared to the dot or the red dot. And here are some full string shots. So this will also be in the next video. So full string of I think it's over 15 shots with 22 caliber with JSB Jumbos. And this is a full string of I think 20 shots with 177 watt cutters in 177. So thank you very much, guys. Please discuss in the comments below what you like, what you don't. Give me thumbs up or thumbs down, and subscribe to my channel. By the way, I'm trying new things. This is kind of the first video as well to be recorded in 4K. Let me know if this is something that you find appealing, or maybe it's not important at all for you. I won't be doing a lot of 4K, especially when I go to the range, because at the range I really want that high frame rate, which is usually 60 frames per second or even higher if I'm doing slow motion. But for this kind of videos, I think 30 frames per second, which is kind of limitation of this camera, is quite appropriate, and you can see much details for those of you that actually has a 4K monitor. So thank you again for watching, and make sure you check out the videos on accuracy, and see you in the next one.